My name is Luiner Avila. I'm from Venezuela. People just call me Louis because it's a lot easier for everyone. I'm 34 years old and I've been in Ireland for almost 7 years. And this is my story. Being from Venezuela, Venezuela was hitting a not so great spot. And I was looking for a new place to go and study and do masters. And I was actually aiming for Canada. And one day, while on drinks, a friend told me, "Have you heard about Ireland?" And I asked, "What about it?" He said, "Like, just research it. You can do your master's there." And I did some research. She told me on a Thursday, I did research on a Friday. On Saturday, I bought tickets. And about a week, on Monday, I quit. And roughly 2, 3 weeks later, I left Venezuela. I came for study and trying to find a better life. It was the first time I left Venezuela. It was the first time I left my parents' house. I've been sort of preparing them for a very long time that I might at some point go somewhere else. And they definitely were not that happy when I told them and when I did everything so fast. Especially because if you're in Venezuela, most of us have to be very cost conscious about many things. And I've been working for a bit, but I would still have to be very conscious of the money that I would spend on things. And literally the cheapest ticket that I could find was on my dad's birthday. So I flew to Ireland on my dad's birthday at 11 a.m. It was emotional at the same time, kind of just, we all accepted that it was going to happen. But it was leaving the airport saying, "Happy birthday, man." I'll send you a picture when I land. I really like the structure of the approach to education that there is here. There's a very strong component of multiculturality in Ireland to all levels. So you feel it in the university, and you feel it even more so when you go to work. And the fact that you're exposed to so many different cultures just by being in a place of study, it's a fantastic experience. Coming from my side, where there's not a lot of immigration since the last 4 years, in our cultures, it's a little bit warmer. And let's say you're walking on the street and you see people, and the first thing you do is like you look at them in the eyes. You either smile, you don't, but there's a lot of eye contact in our cultures. Whereas in here, for the first 3 months, I felt like, I don't know what's happening, but people just really hate me, because whenever I would look at them in the eyes, they would always just look down. And that was during the daytime. During the evenings, we all know the story. It's a very different kind of game. But during the daytime, nobody looked at me in the eyes for like 3 months until I actually found out. And I went out and met some Irish people, and they told me like, no, it's okay. We're just like a little bit shy during the day. I was like, "Oh, how do you guys make friends?" I was like, "Oh, we'll drink." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, thank you." But absolutely everyone assumes that you dance salsa, like absolutely everyone. And because the looks in my country, and I guess many Latin American countries, are not really homogenous. We all look a little bit different. My best friend, she's from the same city. We went to the same schools, and she's blonde and she has gray eyes. And I clearly don't. So people don't really tend to recognize me as a Venezuelan. They think I come from other places, and I felt the weight of those stereotypes. As far as Ireland, you wouldn't meet many Venezuelans. It's not as easy to come here. And the community here, when I landed, I think there were maybe 5,000 Venezuelans in like Ireland in total. And I would say that there's way less than 1,000 now. So not that many of us here. There is a lot of migration, but not really as far as here. It's very complex and it's very difficult to put the money together now to come to Europe. Most people are actually migrating to our neighboring countries. And it's come to the point that many people are walking to the other countries. There are people walking from Caracas to Lima, which is roughly 42 days by walk. So these are families migrating from one end to the other. And before, people who migrated were people who wanted to experience something else and wanted to do something different. And now migration in Venezuela is people that have to, like you just have to leave the country in order to secure some sort of positive or viable living conditions for your family.
The economy is going into a spiral of dysfunctionality.
Venezuela has, of today, the highest inflation in the world.
Venezuelans today cannot eat. You see people eating from the garbage.
Hospitals that have massive deaths of newborns, and there is no access to medication.
A cycle of violence and street protest.
It is terrifying and terrible, even though we all knew it was coming and it was going to be that way. It is like right now it's a little bit easier to manage, but there were times in 2015 where there were very, very strong protests. And my dad works in a hospital in Venezuela, and he was trapped at the hospital for 4 days because people were protesting outside, and they were very violent protests. So just reading the news from Venezuela, it's a very heavy endeavor. It really affects you emotionally. It really affects you psychologically, to the point that many of us Venezuelans have had to just stop reading the news entirely and just hear it from our parents, because it really, really affects you. I am terrified every day for them. We have a habit that every morning we would say good morning to each other. But this habit, it started up from the point that I just need to know that they are able to text me good morning. There are times when there are blackout periods of maybe 11, 12 hours, and it's electricity, and obviously by default the Wi-Fi and internet connection also drops, but it's terrifying, which shouldn't be. It should be first of all, it shouldn't happen. Then if it happened, you wouldn't have to worry about something bad happening. But it does. Venezuelans, I would say, are usually very proud about the country that we come from. And most of my friends never wanted to leave Venezuela. They wanted to maybe go abroad for a little bit, experience a different culture, but never actually leave. And now it's the time that even people who are sympathizers with the government have had to leave because they have no ways of providing to their families. I've been working here the whole time, part-time at the beginning and then full-time. And I've been working in the IT side of life since 2015, 2016, I'd say. Before that, I worked hotel receptions. I worked as a door-to-door charity guy, just trying to get people to donate to charities. And it was rough. And obviously I didn't have a job for a while. Stuff happened that made it rough. And it was really, really discouraging to have what could be considered a good CV and not being able to apply to roles because of the visa. And I entirely understand the immigrational reasons behind this, but it's just heartbreaking and soul crushing. Then the first question would be are you European? I was not really. So after a while, obviously through work, you start meeting people, and then people and people and people. And I ran into this guy who told me, you can apply for my company, I'll refer you in. And I said, I'm not European. And he said, but no, it's fine. Your CV is okay. And my company sponsors. And that was the way that I actually managed to get a role visa and the whole thing. I've dated people from many very different backgrounds to mine. Finland, South Africa, and Irish as well, and Slovakia. And obviously it's very surprising how many similarities there are to some of these countries. And then it's very surprising how different we are to some of the other ones. But at the end of the day, you're all people, the fact that I'm from Latin America, and I'm expected to be sentimentally explosive and just a ticking time bomb of emotions. It's a very funny way of dealing with someone, for example, from Finland or someone from Slovakia, because they have very different approaches to relationships, arguments, and conversations. I've realized that Latin people are definitely way more intense than possibly anyone else in the world. But I think in all cases, I've had very positive experiences.